we actually have this packet of Fortnum& Mason's Earl Grey. It's very nice, but I suspect that someone in the flat has filled it up with Earl Grey that doesn't come from Fortnum & Mason's. Cheaper Earl Grey, less good quality Earl Grey, because I keep making myself Earl Grey with the tea that's in this tin, and I'm not satisfied. It just tastes like, well, ordinary tea, really. Not the sort of thing one would have expected from the people who sell tea to the Queen of England. Welcome back to Tea and Tarot. I'm Robert in Neukölln, and it's my job to explain to you how the tarot cards work. So this time I will be comparing two tarot decks. I'm going to compare the Aquarian deck with the Rider Waite deck. I think I'm going to tell you a little bit about my backstory as a tarot reader, and then in order to put everything together, we'll do a little reading, and in the course of that, I'll probably tell you about a couple of the cards and what they mean. They say that the trick of life is to make decisions, whether right or wrong. The successful people in life just carry on making decisions very confidently, and some of them are right and some of them are wrong, and the wrong ones they correct. But they keep moving, and I think the inability to make a decision can really be the root of a lot of problems in life, can lead to depression. I don't consult the tarot when I really deep down know what I want to do. And this also applies to the people whose cards you will be reading. Clearly, if it's a client, if someone's going to be paying you money, then you just get on with it and do the reading. If it's a friend, check with them first whether they really want to consult an oracle. Would a consultation with an oracle help them, or would it be destabilizing in any way? What if the oracle told them something which they didn't want to hear? If the oracle gave them the opposite response to what was their true desire? A good tarot reading should feel like a confirmation of your deepest desires and intuitions. When a good tarot reader gives you information from the cards, what you should feel in an ideal world, I think, is, oh yes, I almost knew that. That was just below my level of consciousness. That was just bubbling up into my consciousness, that awareness of that truth or that desire or that connection. A good session with a tarot reader should send you out into the world feeling more deeply connected with your own personal truth. I started reading tarot when I was a teenager. I think I was 19. And actually, like quite a lot of hardcore tarot readers, I started out for all the wrong reasons. I think I wanted attention. I wanted a party trick. I got myself a pack of tarot cards and I thought, I'll impress people. I'll do this act. A bit like Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost. I was fundamentally quite cynical about it. I didn't really think that tarot cards had any value at all. Well, you know what you're like when you're 19. You want to destabilise people, cause a bit of a fuss, stir it up. What's the word? You want to be subversive, or at least I did. So I got my tarot cards and I did some readings after dinner, and I got a slightly different response from what I was expecting. And the response was, gosh, that's really accurate. How did you know that? So after that, I became a bit more respectful, and I got a book and I sat down and I learned the cards, and I was hooked, and I've been reading them ever since. Here's my old deck from when I was 19. The Aquarian deck. Isn't that great? And here they are. Now, the tarot has had 2 or 3 moments of renaissance or being fashionable or whatever you want to call it. One was around the beginning of the 20th century, when the Rider Waite pack was produced with the help of members of the Golden Dawn. And this pack, which we've been looking at already, this pack really forms the basis of the current popular interest in the tarot. It really is square one of modern tarot reading. But in the 70s, there was another resurgence, and this pack, the Aquarian Pack, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. This pack came out in 1970s. So let's say this interest was certainly brewing in the 60s, and in the 70s it kind of flowered. This pack was designed by a guy called David Palladini. He later did a second pack, but I think this one is the better of the two. And then towards the end of the 70s, there was another very famous 70s tarot pack, which was very popular. I find the other one a little bit more kitsch, a little bit... To me, it looks like, a set of egg cups or a toaster or something, whereas this one really is rather beautiful. The pack has a distinctive Art Deco feeling, which, as you know, was all the rage in the 70s. Look at those borders. They are sheer deco. And, I was an aesthetic young man in the late 70s, and I thought anything Art Deco was automatically fabulous. The lines, a little bit of Aubrey Beardsley in there, I think. And the colours, a little bit of psychedelia, a little bit of rock album in there. Isn't that great? This one is insanely deco. I used these cards to read with for a long time. I was still reading with them in the 90s, I think. And then sometime around the millennium, I transferred myself across to the Rider Waite. Now, the David Palladini deck is based on the Rider Waite. So it's not controversial. It gives you more or less everything that the Rider Waite gives you. Here's the Two of Swords from the Rider Waite. And here's the Two of Swords from the Aquarian. Here's the Three of Swords from the Rider Waite. And here's the Three of Swords from the Aquarian. Nevertheless, the Aquarian deck does take some liberties. And when it takes these liberties, you perhaps lose out on a little bit of symbolism. Maybe some of the meaning leaks out of the cards. Here's the Rider Waite Sun. We see a walled garden and we see a child on a horse. And here's the Aquarian Sun. And we see something that looks like the furniture from the roof garden at Derry and Tom's in the 70s. But we don't get the child on the horse and we don't get the walled garden. Personally, I have based my whole practice on these more illustrated cards. So for me, it really has to be something like the Rider Waite or the Aquarian. The Aquarian deck is very dreamy and it's very charming and it's very attractive. And I think that it's not a bad deck to start with. It'll really draw you in. It's the sort of deck that you can love. It's better executed in a way than the Rider Waite. I mean, the faces are more detailed, more suggestive. There's more character. And these are cards you can really make friends with. So, okay, just to be ageist, I would say this is an excellent deck for a younger person. Start with it and then maybe move on to the Rider Waite. And I'd also like to say something about the dreaminess of these cards. I think that's really important. As a tarot reader, you will have to deal with what I call tarot phobic abuse from time to time. Every now and then someone will make a comment on your Facebook page such as tarot is bullshit. And of course, tarot may be bullshit when the chips are down. We don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. I absolutely guarantee that if you spend time with the tarot, if you immerse yourself in it, if you engage with it, if you read up about the cards and do readings with the cards, your dream life will go crazy. It'll be very rich. You will dream a lot. These are symbols that go right to the heart of our consciousness, right into our unconscious, and stimulate and provoke us. So when someone says, tarot is bullshit, you can reply, well, it may be, but it's the kind of bullshit that I like. Today, I'm going to ask the tarot about an issue. It's not exactly a project. As you know, I do a million different things. And one of the things I do is that I'm an actor. I sometimes work as a featured extra. I recently flew to Romania to star in an advertisement as an alien from outer space. So you won't recognise me. I'll have a CGI snout with tentacles coming out of the front of my face when that ad goes online. But nevertheless, that's what I do sometimes. So I'm just wondering whether I should do an e-casting, as they say, whether I should do an audition on video, film myself, for a certain film and TV studio in Berlin who have put out a call out. Now, I already have an agency. I'm not sure whether that's enough or whether I should spread myself around town a little bit more. I'm a little bit sceptical, and actually I find e-castings a bit of a pain in the neck. So at the moment I'm in a state of inertia. I'm not really doing anything about it. I'm not convinced it's a good idea, but I'm not convinced it's a bad idea. So I'd like to ask the tarot for a 7-card spread on this matter of my doing an e-casting for X studios in Berlin. So I align myself. Take a deep breath. Shuffle cards. No mystery there. I cut the cards. And then I lay down 7 cards in the horseshoe spread. Okay, well, my first impression is that's horrendously clear. It seems like I should get up off my arse, as they say, and do the e-casting. Some of these cards are a little bit personal. The first 2 cards I would be interpreting as people in my life. People who I've worked with, people I've met, people who have given me advice. And I will have my own private thoughts about those 2 cards, which I won't be sharing with the hundreds of thousands who I expect to be tuning into this show. So, past influences. We have the Queen of Batons, but she's reversed. Let's just say that my challenge with this card is to think of someone who I might have had dealings with or conversations with around the subject of my career as an actor or in that field. And this card being reversed, maybe that person gave me wrong advice or gave me a bad attitude. Something went in there that wasn't quite right and that has affected how I'm now behaving regarding this potential job. Present circumstances. The Page of Pentacles, also reversed. Someone else, this time in the present circumstances, who is maybe giving me the wrong advice, the wrong feeling about this. I'm not going to go into it in too much detail. I'm going to concentrate on the other cards. Future circumstances. We have the Five of Cups, a card of disappointment. The seventh card shows me where I will end up if I carry on as I am. And this, as we have seen in a previous episode, the Three of Swords is coming to grief. It's change, but it's not necessarily change for the better. These two cards taken together imply regret, imply a not particularly fortunate outcome. So frankly, that seems very clear. If I carry on in this state of inertia, doing absolutely naff all, as they say, with regard to this work opportunity, I will regret it. In the environment position, I have another rather telling card, Justice. The Justice card actually means more like judgment, the weighing up of the situation, the ability to work out what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad. This is in the environment position, so this could be people around me, and it's reversed. I am getting another feeling of bad advice. Well, no one has really advised me very much, but there might be an atmosphere of skepticism around this kind of job that I've picked up from somewhere and that I need to let go of. Obstacles. Look at this. Our obstacle is the sun itself. Well, let's not get too metaphysical, ladies and gentlemen. It's very sunny outside, and it would be much more fun to lie around in the sun than to sweat blood doing a video audition. I don't like auditioning particularly. I like just being given jobs because I'm so marvellous. I don't like the thought that I might be judged and that I might be found wanting. I would rather have a cup of tea on the balcony and read the paper, wouldn't I? The fourth card, the Eight of Pentacles. Well, I hope you don't think I've fixed this reading because it really is all so clear and so coherent. The Eight of Pentacles is the card of work, of someone who works hard, who rolls up their sleeves and gets on with the job. This is in the advice position, ladies and gentlemen. Could the advice be clearer? Roll up your sleeves, get on with the job, stop being lazy. So that was a rather clear talking to, wasn't it? And that's why I say don't ask the tarot for advice if there is a certain answer that you don't want to get. In other words, if you really want to be told to go out and sit on the balcony and read the newspaper rather than doing irksome tasks which you need to do, don't ask the tarot. You have been watching Robert in Neukölln telling you about tarot cards. If you've enjoyed the show, keep in touch, send me a comment, send me a like or a subscribe. It's what one needs when one's starting off a show, because one can feel that one's kind of a voice crying in the wilderness and no one's listening. So every little message I get is hugely appreciated. Thank you very much to those people who did write in and make comments and encourage me, especially during the last show, which was quite difficult for me and quite experimental. I post my shows every 2 weeks, early Sunday morning Berlin time. So if you're in Los Angeles or New York, you might catch it on Saturday night. Wishing you all love, peace, and good health. In my next episode, I will be doing a reading for the month of July, so join me for that.